I originally came across this story last week. I decided to leave it alone at the time because it just wasn't all that surprising. I didn't think it was interesting. Entitled NBA players who are known to be overtly political, whining and complaining because the Orlando Magic donated money to a politician that 99% of NBA players are not allowed to agree with publicly. Shocker. If you're collecting a paycheck from the NBA, you're not allowed to agree with Ron DeSantis. But it's strange. The NBA was all about the state of Florida 3 years ago when the Fauci was unleashing his love across America. States like California and New York, they would not allow the NBA to build a bubble to complete their season. That is far too dangerous. Someone might get infected and be sick for a week. We can't take that risk. Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida, they welcomed the NBA with open arms. But anyway, I passed on this story last week because I just didn't think it was all that interesting. The DeVos family, the owners of the Orlando Magic, they made a donation to Ron DeSantis. Players throughout the league, they expressed their fake outrage. It's a movie we've all seen before. It's boring. We already know the ending. NBA players express their fake outrage. Training camp begins next month and they happily cash their paychecks. But the response I saw from Rachel Nichols yesterday, I found her response surprising. Let's imagine for 1 second that you're a veteran NBA reporter who just so happens to be female. When I say female, I'm talking about a female. I'm not talking about females like Leah Thomas, the type of woman Dwayne Wade dreams about and would happily exchange for his husband Gabe. You have paid your dues. You have been suffering for over 20 years covering the NBA for the worldwide leader in woke, ESPN. You have been a loyal comrade. The Deacons at Woke United Methodist, very pleased with your activism. You were a vocal proponent for female empowerment. You vocalized your disgust with toxic masculinity. After the tragedy with George Floyd, you used the NBA platform to call for a racial reckoning in America. You were proud to fight mythical racism. After years and years of dealing with the filth at ESPN, after years of you paying your dues, all of your hard work finally pays off. You sign a new contract, which guarantees that you will be covering the NBA Finals. But the shitfucks at ESPN, they decide to break your contract. You see, even though you're a woman, which automatically places you inside a marginalized group, you're not the right color. The NBA is a predominantly black league. I believe the correct terminology needed to describe the NBA so the shitfucks can properly understand would be to say that the NBA is a league that lacks diversity. ESPN, they took it upon themselves to solve this diversity problem. Instead of having you, a white woman, covering the NBA Finals, ESPN, they decide to give their programming a double dose of diversity by having an inexperienced, unqualified Maria Taylor take your job. When you find out that you have been replaced by someone who didn't even know Anthony Davis played in the NBA, you're obviously pissed off. You're upset about it. You call one of your colleagues from your hotel room and you vent your frustrations. While on the phone, you speak nothing but the truth. You say that the only reason ESPN gave Maria Taylor your job was because of her victim status. She checks double the woke boxes that you do. Nothing you say during this conversation is wrong. Problem is, some shitfuck in Bristol was recording your conversation, passionately spanking his wanker while listening to you complain about fake diversity. This conversation, it leaks to the New York Times. Long story short, ESPN fires you for telling the truth. Now, even though you have been baptized and born again, even though you're an active participant in Woke Bath Wednesday, and you prefer the grilled woke wiener over the grilled steak, even though you are proud to be a shitfuck, how would you feel about this betrayal? How would you feel about being fired for speaking the truth? I think most people would be upset about it. They would be pissed off. Most people would trade their membership to Woke United Methodist for membership to a real church. After so many years of surrounding yourself with the filth, God would be the only one that could cleanse you. I'm sure most of you guys know the scenario I just laid out. That is exactly what happened to Rachel Nichols 2 years ago. Longtime subscribers to this channel, you are very familiar with this story. We covered it extensively. Now, you would think Rachel Nichols would have learned her lesson. You would think she would no longer be loyal to the woke movement. If so, you would think wrong. After decades of being a high profile NBA reporter at ESPN, Rachel Nichols now finds herself working for Showtime, hosting a show that no one watches. She also works part time collecting woke welfare from CNN. Yes, that's CNN. The place where media careers go to die. The home of dozens of huge embarrassing failures like Caitlin Collins. Katie Roo! Katie Roo! The other night, Rachel Nichols was the guest on something called CNN Tonight. This show is hosted by some unknown failure named Jim DaCosta, who I think goes by Jamie when marching alongside his emotional support shovel in the pride parades. Anyway, Jamie Acosta, he invited Rachel Nichols on this show of failure so she could educate the dozens of people watching as to why it's a real big problem that the Orlando Magic donated money to Ron DeSantis. With everything that has happened to Rachel Nichols, with her career being sacrificed so Maria Taylor's career could advance, you would think Rachel Nichols would change her tune. You would think she would change her mentality. Instead, Rachel Nichols went on national television and completely humiliated herself. Watch for yourself.
We have seen team owners, players, management, all individually support political candidates. Mark Lasry, the former owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, was one of President Obama's chief fundraisers. What upsets these players so much is that this donation was not made on behalf of Betsy DeVos or Dick DeVos. It was made on behalf of the team. And you have players and coaches and executives who have come out publicly with very different beliefs and opinions than DeSantis's. And now their names are being used in association with this donation. And more importantly, as the Players Association statement pointed out, it's their labor. Money for NBA teams, the Orlando Magic's money that they donated to Ron DeSantis, doesn't come from a magic tree elf. It came from the work of those players.
My God, how blindly loyal can you be? I guess this isn't too embarrassing for Rachel Nichols. In order to be embarrassed, a humiliating moment, it actually needs to happen in front of other people. With this soliloquy being broadcast on CNN, pretty much guaranteed that no one was watching this. But let me ask you something. Rachel Nichols claimed that NBA players were upset because this donation came from the Orlando Magic instead of coming directly from the DeVos family. What the fuck is the difference? If Mark Cuban donated money to John Biden and the Dallas Mavericks donated money to John Biden, isn't that the same thing? I mean, Mark Cuban is the Dallas Mavericks. Rachel Nichols actually brought up something that completely contradicted her own point, and it highlights the political bias that is prevalent throughout the NBA. Former owner of the Milwaukee Bucks was the chief fundraiser for Barack Obama, but it's strange. I don't remember hearing any complaints from NBA players about that. I'm sure a handful of players in the NBA were not supportive of Barack Obama. I don't remember hearing them complain. I don't remember hearing any complaints when the NBA was donating money to Black Lives Matter. Did JJ Redick complain about that? Did other white players throughout the NBA complain about the league donating money to an organization that doesn't necessarily align with their values? It seems like it's only a problem when a team donates money to a political candidate that is not approved by Woke United Methodist. According to Rachel Nichols in the NBA Players Association, one of their biggest complaints is that it's their labor that generated the money that was donated to Ron DeSantis, which, I mean, that is true. That's true. But that was also true when the league was donating to BLM. Speaking of labor, the labor in Orlando absolutely sucks. This team hasn't made it out of the first round of the playoffs in 13 years. They have made the playoffs twice in the last 10 years. The Orlando Magic have not been relevant since Dwight Howard left, and I think that was back in, 2012? So the labor in Orlando, absolutely terrible. This is not about Ron DeSantis. Rachel Nichols is not upset that the Orlando Magic donated money to the governor of their state. Hell, this is the same woman who supported the NBA moving the All-Star game out of Charlotte because the state of North Carolina made it illegal for Peter Perv to share a bathroom with naive Natalie. Rachel Nichols is expressing her fake outrage because an NBA team had the audacity to defy Woke United Methodist. That is it. Outside of Donald Trump, Orange Man bad. But outside of Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis is public enemy number one. He has absolutely destroyed Disney. The Disney theme parks in Orlando, they have turned into a ghost town, and it's not because it's unbearably hot in Orlando during the summer. Ron DeSantis has exposed Disney for the filth they present to children. He has also been vocal against the NBA for taking the cucumber from China. This is the reason I have a hard time defending anyone who chooses to identify as woke. 2 years ago, when ESPN fired Rachel Nichols, I was one of her biggest defenders. I thought it was bullshit that they gave her job to Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor's not qualified to host local radio in gay Arkansas. This is the same woman who left Anthony Davis off the All-NBA team because she forgot that he played in the NBA. The dude plays on the most well-known team in the league. How in the hell is someone like Maria Taylor voting for all NBA honors and she doesn't even know who plays in the damn league? I thought it was bullshit that ESPN fired Rachel Nichols for essentially telling the truth. Now, look, I was not the only one who defended her. There were a lot of people in conservative media who came to her defense. But here we are 2 years later, and it is abundantly clear that Rachel Nichols has learned nothing. Either that or she's a glutton for punishment. I don't know. She must really like the cucumber, but give me your thoughts. Now that I think about it, I think Rachel Nichols might have been the inspiration for the commonly used phrase here on the channel, the woke turning on the woke. She loses her job for reasons of diversity, and here she is 2 years later fighting for woke causes on CNN. Give me your thoughts on Rachel Nichols. Also, what did you think of all the fake outrage last week with the Orlando Magic? If the Orlando Magic, if they had donated money to John Biden or cackling Kamala Harris, would we have seen the same level of fake outrage? Probably not, but you let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.